Theisen. Welcome to Ingredients to Happiness podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And also welcome to Kansas City. I hope you had a good trip down here.
Awesome trip, beautiful day. Put a few tunes on the car on my way down, and
Love it.
2.5 hours later, I'm here.
So you live in Omaha, and what I've read up on you is the reason you live in Omaha is because your car broke down in Omaha?
It's a story that goes back well over 45 years.
That's a long pit stop.
It is a long pit stop. It says something for the people there, the surroundings, the nature of how I got there and how I was greeted. I was leaving college. I dropped out. I was the first generation to start college.
And that was at Northern Iowa?
University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls. So my exit strategy was to leave prior to graduation. My dad and I talked about that. He told me that my higher education was over. He was out of money and out of patience. And so I had two things I could have done. Plan A would have been to go back to a small town in Iowa, and he could say, "I told you so," for the rest of his life. And or I could go west, and my first idea was to go to California. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Do what? Go surfing every day?
I don't know. It just seemed like the thing to do. It was a faraway place that I hadn't been to.
Okay.
And that
Where in California?
it's a Southern California.
Okay, like LA or
LA area.
Yeah.
And so my game plan wasn't detailed. Packed up a soft-sided bag that I had and hopped in this 61 Ford Falcon, white, 3 in the tree, blue interior bench seat, and headed west. And my plan was to get to Denver the first night.
Sure, yeah, that'd be a good spot.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well,
Didn't quite make it there.
early afternoon, I was going across the bridge from Iowa to Nebraska, and my transmission was giving me trouble. And so I put the clutch in and coasted over to the side, and I had to solve some problems.
Yeah.
I had no place to stay. My transportation had given out on me. I didn't know anybody, and I was going to get hungry pretty quick. So I contacted. There was a gas station there, and so I contacted one of my friends at college, and his parents lived in Omaha. And so I asked if, because I was down on my luck,
Yeah.
do you think I could stay there for a short time until I got on my feet? And he said he got a hold of him, whatever. I called him back to the dorm, and he said, "They're on their way, put your hood up." I said, "It already is."
And so that's how they would know to find you.
Everybody else's car was running with the hood down. Mine was not running with the hood up. And
It would be kind of funny if someone else had their hood up and they picked up the wrong person.
Well, I had my happy face on. I said, I've got to turn this bad news into good news. And
Sure.
so the parents of my friend pulled up and introduced myself, and they knew somebody that could fix my car, which was nice. And they said, hop in, we'll head over. And so there's a university area in Omaha called Elmwood Park, adjacent to the University of Nebraska at Omaha. And they lived there, and got in. I pulled in the driveway, and we got out. The father looked up and said, "I've got a room above the garage. How's that going to work?" And I go, it's just what I've been looking for. So I went ahead and grabbed my soft side. He said, "Well, we eat at 5:30, and we expect you." We walked in the house, and he kind of showed me the table and everything. He said, "That's your seat right there."
That is the most Omaha thing I've ever heard, because my college roommates' parents, I went to school in Omaha and at Creighton University, and you're very familiar with it, serving on the board there.
Yep.
We would go, they would invite me over and ask to do my laundry and all these things where my mom was just so embarrassed. She's like, "You need to take care of yourself." And even then, when we went to go visit my college roommate recently, we actually stayed at his parents' house, and we didn't even stay at his house. I mean, his house was under construction, but it's almost like they feel like it's a privilege to help. And
Yeah.
I just think that's a great mentality to have up there.
They took me in, and it really it meant a lot to me because I really had no place to go. And so they took me in, and we ate that first night. And he said, "Well, tell me a little about yourself." So I told him a little bit about myself, and he said, "I think they were testing me."
Mm.
At the time, I didn't know it, but as I look back, over the
Sure.
years, he said, "How are you at painting?" And I said, "I can paint." So I'm thinking, we're going to paint a small bedroom or something.
Yeah.
And he said, "We've been thinking about painting the house,
Like the outside.
like the outside, the whole outside." I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I could. I'll have some time. I'll be more than glad to help you." He said, "Well, one other thing." He said, "I'm not so good with heights."
Are you?
Well, I wasn't until he said that. I said, "I have no problem climbing up top there." Well, we did it. We only painted one side at a time, and we took a few day break, cut the lawn, washed the cars, spent probably 6 or 7 weeks there, ate with him
Wow.
every night.
It's
Every
incredible.
night.
That's just
Every night. Laundry, here's the basket, you do it, you have access to it. They included me.
yeah.
They included me, and they didn't feel sorry for me. They just included me because that was the kind of people they were.
I love hearing stories like that.
Yeah, and that's, could my my business have succeeded or started anywhere else? I don't know. I know it worked there really well, but that was the start I had. Not many doors were slammed in my face.
Sure.
Uh,
So let's talk about your business. You had a bar called Wild Willie's.
yes, that was when I was wild. If I opened one today, it'd be called Mild Willie's.
Hey, there's a place for that. I'd probably go to it. I'm
But
not too wild.
We had a like a beer garden,
And then next door was a pizza shop.
little pizza shop that a fellow and I started together. And
And what year was this for context?
This was, let's look back. I know I don't look quite that old. This was the first part of 1973. The
Okay.
ideas came together, and
Sure.
then we opened.
What was the name of the pizza shop at the time?
Well, it wasn't a shop. It was a new little center.
Okay.
So this was all vacant space. So we came up with this idea some night. I don't know what night it was or day, but we decided to call it Godfathers because the movie,
Yeah.
which is still iconic.
It is. I mean, it's still popular.
I was on Netflix the other night. They have the movie come out in '72, I think, the original, and so everybody thought that was kind of a good name.
Sure.
I ran the trademark idea for the state through my attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Bang, we got it. And we weren't ever going to really do any more than a couple.
Sure.
And so we weren't really caring about the whole United
When
States.
when you said that, was it still essentially a franchise? Was that always
It was a
part of the plan?
one-off.
Okay.
It was a one-off.
But what made you dive into, hey, we've got this great pizza shop, Godfather's Pizza. Why are we going to franchise it? Or
Well, as time went along, I think the gentleman I was with him, he was with me, whatever. Greg Johnson, who's an entrepreneur
mm-hmm.
who operates Minsky's, owns and operates Minsky's in Missouri and I don't know where else, but I'm he's got several here.
Yep.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Maybe a year and a half, we decided to do different things for whatever reason.
Sure.
And so people would come in and they'd want one of these. And the first group that came in were from Columbus, Nebraska. I think I opened a second one in Lincoln and maybe another was carry out in Omaha. So I was either.
So where was the first location at?
99th and Q Street, Southwest
Okay.
Omaha.
Southwest
Right
Omaha.
by Thomasville Apartments. I
Okay.
was a manager at Thomasville, and I knew everybody up there, and I eventually left there and ran the place. So it was Southwest Omaha. Young people, brand new apartments. Everybody had a new kitchen. Funny thing is, nobody cooked.
Really?
Okay, they wanted to go out. They wanted to hang out. They wanted a place to go. The apartments were surrounded by a golf course, so there's leisurely activity there.
Yeah.
And so, our town was not short on pizza, so there was plenty of it there. But
I mean, yeah, how big was like Pizza Hut at the time? I mean,
Pizza
were they
Hut
still...
had a head start on us. They were all over our city. They had a dissimilar product. Theirs originally was a lot thinner.
And you guys had more of the pan style.
We invented pan without calling it pan. You know, we cooked it in a pan because we couldn't cook it on the oven floor because of the fact you couldn't maneuver it. It'd fall apart when it was just so heavy.
Interesting.
It was 5 pounds. And so this group came in, 3 postmen from Columbus. And I didn't
Like
know.
mailmen?
Mailmen. One was an assistant postmaster and the other 2 were carriers. These were mailmen, and they'd come in every Sunday afternoon because they didn't work. They'd drive down, which is about, 85 or 90 miles.
Yeah.
And every Sunday, one of them was married. Actually, take it back. 2 were married. Larry Smith was a single friend of theirs. And so they come in and says, we want one of these. These are, I said, well, I'm not going to go to Columbus, Nebraska. I don't even know where it is, but I'm not going. So I tried to discourage them. Well,
sure.
Great. Another Sunday come by and they'd miss. Then following Sunday they'd come in. And so I said, okay, I trust them. They were honest-looking people. And
yeah, they're the mailmen.
What could be wrong with this? So they said, well, we've already got our eye on a spot. I said, well, let's not move this ball too quickly. Let's just take a little time here. So one weekend I drove up to Columbus, and they had this little cafe that this older lady was selling. It was a standalone building, and there was living quarters upstairs. And if you know about Columbus, there was a viaduct bridge kind of separated the town. And this was kind of the right part to be in. There was a Holiday Inn Holidome, where they have a dome that was back in the 70s, 74, 75, whatever. And so I liked the location. I met the lady. Her name was Billy. I'm Willie. Her name was Billy. She's about this tall.
Billy and Billy.
Billy and Willie. And I said, okay. I said, we didn't have any agreements. I didn't have anything. You shook
hands.
We did a handshake. How about that? And we did it. And I said, now, one of you...
Can you imagine doing that today, first of all?
Well, things have changed a little bit. A little bit. And, your word and your oath of honor used to maybe be a little more than it is today. I still believe in that, but you've got to back it up with some documents. Anyway, I'll bring it up. We shook hands. I got them lined up. I said, it's got to be the same all the time. No skimping. We're not going to make donuts out of the old dough. We're not doing that, okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
Fresh dough every day. I want to weigh. These things are going to weigh 5 pounds. The combos are 5 pounds. I don't want a 4-pound combo. And do you agree? And they agreed. They shook hands. I said, one of you or your wife or family has to be in here when it's open. And
no more golfing.
No more golfing. If you have clubs, you better put them in storage.
That's right.
Because this is a business, and we're going to run it like one. Well, they were enormously successful. Not having any knowledge of the restaurant.
Did they quit their jobs then? And
they eventually did. A couple of them retired, but they ran it. Everybody knew them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that actually being a mailman would be one of the best ways to open a business because you know everyone.
Well, and the gentleman who owns it now was their manager for a long time. They sold it to him. His name's Bob Kuda, and he is the operator's operator. T-shirt, ball cap, knows everybody in town. Goes to the games, goes to wrestling meets, goes to graduation.
That's great.
He's the man. He's the man with the plan. Place looks the same. The parking lot's still half gravel. Place is cleaner than a pin. I'm kind of meticulous on.
Sure.
You probably have.
Yeah, I've been.
Figured that out. Yeah. Kind of a bit, but anyway, that was the start of it.
So it kind of took off. You had, I think you set some records for a while. You opened how many stores in 3 years?
Well, in 77, 78, 79, Were you born then?
No, I was 88.
So
I'm 31.
you are a slacker. You gotta.
I am.
You got. Anyway.
My life hasn't even started
when
yet.
yours hasn't even started. We had 50 groups of franchisees, and they obligated for 3 stores a year for 3 years. So we opened 450 restaurants in 36 months.
How do you even do that? Did you go to the openings? Like how
Yeah.
how do you manage your time when you have to check in on 450 locations?
Well, I hired some staff to help on the follow-up and all. But yeah, I would say probably 90+% of all the openings. Flying 600 to 700 hours a year in a private plane. Getting there, being part of the celebration, part of the success. Make myself readily available. A lot of long weeks. I'd look at the schedule for like Tuesday, and we'd go to Wichita, and then up to Winona, Minnesota, over to Joliet in Illinois. You'd think that'd be a week. Well, that's Tuesday.
That's one day.
That's one day.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now
so
let's
I mean,
talk-
like how many cities would you go to in a week?
I could go to at least a dozen.
Oh my goodness.
So I had a schedule. I had paperwork on everybody before I got there, so I knew. Well, I'd met them all, but you got a little confused.
So do you have like a dossier essentially?
I had a scheduler that was very good.
Their favorite color is blue.
Yeah, just. And
Or the
mine
kid-
is green. Let's see the check.
Okay, yeah, I love it. I love it.
Let's do this the right way. Let's start out with the money. So no, we had an unbelievable group of people. They were just, it was a team. It was a real team, and they did what they said they were going to do, and so did we. It wasn't like we didn't do what we said we'd do.
So how many employees did you have back in Nebraska or wherever your headquarters
Probably
was?
it was in Omaha. Probably at its peak, probably 50 to 60.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was some regional folks that were in the field,
Sure.
the real estate people in the field. I tried to look at most of the proposed real estate that they were going into. Key to ours is we didn't build buildings. Our deal wasn't a real estate play. It was we leased.
Because McDonald's is a real estate play.
That's a real estate play. This is because our people were smaller people, and if they could dig up the money for one, that's it. That's all they could build.
Sure.
So we leased the space, so you could capitalize on X amount of dollars, could open 3, as opposed to opening 1.
And having all your
4.
money sunk into the
Into 1.
purchase price.
Yeah, that's it. And then you're burdened with it. So our model just really worked well.
So, you did really well with that. You end up selling how many years later?
It was about 10 years. We merged with
10 years since you started from
beginning.
the very beginning
Yes.
of franchising, or
Godfathers from 1.
so how many years of franchising did you have under your belt?
We did 7.5 years, maybe 8.
Okay.
Not long.
No, not long, but
Not long.
I'd say you got some stuff accomplished. In those
We
years.
had some momentum. If you look at Restaurants Institutions magazine, the data it spoke well. There was 150% gain in our growth on a yearly basis for several years. The model just seemed to work really well for everybody. And we picked our franchisees right. We picked hard workers. They didn't necessarily have to have a restaurant background. That was not a prerequisite. Sometimes it was better that they didn't, so because we didn't have to change what at such and such we used to do it this way. Well, we're not doing it that way. We're doing it.
I had never cooked a donut in my life before opening a donut shop. So I mean,
speaking of donuts, because I'm a food guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all food. My daughters are. My granddaughter is. We had a donut shop. I think I mentioned this to you once before. Grew up in Clinton, Iowa, and we went to Sacred Heart Church. We used to go sometimes on Saturday night, 5 o'clock.
yeah,
And if we were good,
only if you're good.
only if you're good. And my mom would be there, my brother's on the other side, and we're poking at each other, and we're not paying attention. So on the pew ahead of us, we'd have our hands, just hold on. We had to stand up during the.
Oh yeah.
And my mom would take her fingernail, and she'd get me right here. She just got to press it just a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
And that meant shape up.
Mm.
That was all that had to be shaped up. And then if we were good, there's a place called the Spud Nut Shop.
Oh yeah.
Potato donuts. I think
Potato
I think it
donuts.
started in Iowa somewhere.
It might have been.
And Made Right started in Iowa.
Mm.
Loose meat sandwich.
Yeah.
But we'd go over and get a bag of donuts, and they were hot and they were fresh, and we'd go home and have a little bit of dinner, and then go.
So donuts before dinner?
Well, if we'd sneak one, maybe we'd split one, maybe. But then after dinner,
Sounds like my son.
we had I'm a donut fan too.
I just love that because everyone has a donut story.
That's mine from when I was very, very young, but it was sat right on the corner. It was there for the longest time. Kind of a dingy, dark little neighborhood thing.
Oh, yeah.
Onesie, and you could park pretty close out front, run in, and glazed was, that's what they were known for. Glazed potato flour donut, big puffy thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know, our bestseller is still a glazed donut, even if we have 40,000 combinations of donuts.
Go right to, that's kind of a go-to.
It is.
Yeah,
It's safe and
It's safe. I know what
it's good.
I know what it's going to taste like.
Sure thing.
No surprises.
I think what's interesting too is you've been a franchisor, but you've also been a franchisee.
I have.
So Famous Dave's Barbecue was one of your next ventures.
Famous Dave's was around the year 2000, so that's more current. I was at a finance conference in Scottsdale. General Electric Finance Corp used to run these conferences, and they loaned a lot of money to a lot of franchise businesses.
Mm-hmm.
They had the money.
Sure.
I mean, you had to jump through hoops and everything, but at
Yep.
the end of the day, they told you, we have the money. And so we said, okay. And so I was out there with another friend of mine, and he had Popeyes, and he had 2 or 3 other ones, so he was out there. So I didn't go the first day. And he came back that night, and he says, Willie, he says, you missed it. We had a lunch catered. I said, what was it? He said, barbecue. And I'm okay with barbecue. I like barbecue.
Yeah. Well, we happen to love barbecue down here in
Well,
Kansas
yeah,
City.
I know. This is it. And so he said, you got to go tomorrow. They're going to do it again. They're out of Minneapolis, Famous Dave's. I'd never heard of him.
Mm.
So I went, and there's a Famous Dave, this guy, Dave Anderson. And he was there. He's bigger than life.
Famous.
He's famous. American Indian, good guy.
Yeah.
I shook his hand, he introduced me. He had a great personality. I trusted him. I could tell I could trust him.
Do you get that?
I get it. I wouldn't
get that vibe from
I
people.
wouldn't be here unless I trusted you. And I've met you once before.
Yep.
I like the Creighton background. That was kind of your door opener.
Well, thank you.
And then somebody else I know, Kimberly Stern, gave you the nod.
Hosted a great radio show.
Awesome person. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go on those 2 recommendations. And anyway, so Famous Dave, we had it. I loved it. I mean, I loved it. And I said, where's your closest store? He said, well, it's Lincoln. He said, but that's a company store.
Hmm.
I said, okay. He said, would you franchise them? They hadn't franchised. They had a couple handshake deals. You know how you do it when you begin, which we just talked about?
Yeah.
He had a couple handshake deals with a brother-in-law, somebody, and I don't know, somebody's friend. But no, I was the first pure, I was wanted to be the first pure franchisee, with documents.
Why would they do a company store in Lincoln over Omaha?
Well, they were looking in Omaha and didn't find the right spot. So their second choice was Lincoln. They were only going to put 2 in. Omaha, Lincoln, that was it. They weren't going to go anywhere else in the state. So I said, okay. So I went down, traveled down there. I saw it. It was great. So they said, well, we're not going to franchise Omaha. I said, that's fine. But I want to, let me in the back of the house. I'll sign a non-compete or confidentiality, whatever sign.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about that. I trust you. So I went down there. And actually, I worked there 2 or 3 days a week. Afternoons, early evenings, I'd drive down there.
To Lincoln.
And on Sundays, it's 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
And it was a madhouse. It was a madhouse. So about 3 weeks into it, I called him, and he said, well, we're not going to. I said, well, can I just come visit you in Minneapolis?
You were pretty dead set on it.
Oh, I'm getting it.
Yeah.
I'm getting it. And he said, yeah, that'd be great. So I flew up there, and he told others no. And when I left, he said, "You got it."
So you did Omaha.
Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it just the way you want to do it. Whatever you say, we're going to do. So went ahead and went back and worked at it. And so one Sunday I was leaving, I had hung up my apron. I cleaned up my whole area. I unloaded the smoker during the day. I made those cornmeal muffins that they make.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm leaving. The manager was Chuck, and they put me in the line a couple times to cook. And I'm not as these guys. They go and they finally tapped me. Go back in the prep, Willie. So
Yeah.
they could do. I'm cutting the ribs like this. You know, I want them just
Yeah.
like they're going bang 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 bang. I can't. In the back, I made the soup, which is blanch the vegetables, steam the rice, pull the chicken. It was a northern Minnesota brown rice chicken soup. It was great, but you really had to make it.
Sure.
There wasn't just a thing you pulled open
Yeah.
and poured it in. So I'm leaving, and Chuck comes over to me. I think I'm tested. We talked about testing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Willie," he said, "you did a great job today. Before you leave, it's like 5 o'clock on Sunday night." He said, "We need a few more muffins, cornmeal muffins. Would you make them before you leave?" And my whole area was clean. And I said, "Yeah, how many?" He says, 300. I said, "Okay." So I got the batter and whipped it up and got the pans out, put them all in. And they'd bake them off, but they needed to prep. I was a prep
Sure,
guy,
yeah.
one of many. And so I did that. So I thought, well, I'm going to get a drink in the bar. You know, I've been here.
Sure.
It's Sunday at 6:15 at night. I got to drive back to Omaha by myself. So I'm in the bar. And it's about 3 deep. So I stand there and I get up to 2 deep, and then maybe, and that's not going to happen. So I walk out. I'm not mad. I walk out,
Yeah.
and I go, "That's it. I'm doing this, and I'm doing it ASAP." So I picked a spot in Omaha, and the rest is history. In Omaha, we opened a couple, 4 more there. Came to Kansas City, where all the competition is.
Sure.
And I went out to the Speedway
Yeah.
when there was only Cabela's, the track, and the furniture mart. I was out there earlier today. I stopped there on the way in to say, hey.
It's way different, huh?
I've seen it since, but I've never seen it like today.
Yeah.
I
Fully
was,
developed.
I was that soccer thing and all the casinos and all the office buildings, the hotels. So get
Amazing.
this one. So I got to get Famous Dave's to agree to the location before, and we built the building.
Okay.
I said, we got to make it special. We just can't go into some strip mall somewhere close.
Yeah.
We got to really put our feet down there. We got to play hardball because they'll drive us out if we don't.
Sure.
If we're at the end of a gas station trying to cheap our way in, they're going to call us out. We got to go in all the way.
Yep.
Got a hold of GE. They said, go ahead. We're behind you on it. So we got this piece of ground. Famous Dave's comes down, and they look around and they go,
Why? Right? What is it? There's nothing
there's
here.
corn out here. There's soybeans. There's no people. I said, you see that track? You see that furniture mart from Omaha? I mean, and Cabela's, the large. We're going to go back and see if you can get this approved. Well, they wrote a note and they said on the report, deny. Deny. So I called Dave.
Yeah.
I said, Dave. He said, you really want to do it? I go, yeah. I'm not asking you to throw any money in. Let me do this one. Let me go toe-to-toe with KC. We did, and it was an unbelievable store.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Unbelievable store. Everybody came to it.
Super incredible. And then, you know, it's kind of funny. You get back into the pizza game.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, which let's call it 2009,
Okay.
I'd sold all my Famous Dave's to the friend of mine that introduced me to Famous Dave's,
Okay.
Greg. And I wanted to reinvent either a wood-fired or a coal-fired oven. So I did some research on it. There wasn't many around. Coal's tough to deal with because of its high temperatures.
Yeah.
And the soot and just the environmental stuff and the scrubbers you have to put on.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Chicago, met up with a guy that had a place in there, a small little neighborhood place. And I liked what he was doing. So I had to find a spot. So I went to an area in Omaha, you're probably familiar with Dundee.
Yep.
Kind of a funky little older retail, 2 or 3 blocks of
Yeah.
retail surrounded by older homes.
A bit eclectic, yeah.
Very. And there was this one spot. It was a building, it's called the Model A building. It had been vacant for 7 years. So I got an appointment to see it. It had living quarters upstairs. It was the old live-work thing.
And it didn't even have a floor in it, right?
Dirt. Dirt was the
Dirt
floor. Windows were
Would that pass health inspection?
plywood. No, dirt
Okay.
won't pass. You can't sweep dirt and get down anything because it was just all dirt.
Sure thing.
Well, the entrepreneur part of me kicked in, and entrepreneurs see things other people don't see.
Yep.
Clearly, we're not smarter. We don't get up earlier. We don't stay up later. We don't have better eyesight, but we can see opportunity.
Yep.
We have vision, and we don't mind taking that risk. And I understand when things don't work too. I'm okay. Not everything's going to work.
Sure.
So I tried to buy the building, couldn't. So I signed a lease. I said, "When are you going to open? Get it built in a couple months?" I said, "No, it'll be about a year."
Mm.
He said, "What do you mean a year? You're the pizza guy." I said, "Well, I'm going to do some traveling." So I traveled for about 8 months. Took a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah, where'd you go?
All over. Boston,
United
Minneapolis, all over the United States. San Jose, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, New Orleans, Atlanta, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
And you would just try and find the best pizza places in town?
I'm trying to cherry pick.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't want any low-hanging fruit. Everything I picked was from the top. So I had to get in that ladder that I painted that guy's house with when I was down on my luck.
Yep.
I got that ladder out, and I said, I'm climbing to the top of this. And then I put it all together. And you've been there.
I have. I've been to both.
What do you
have?
think?
You have 2 locations now.
What do you think?
I think it's fantastic. My wife, who doesn't eat a lot of pizza, every time we go to Omaha, she has to go to Pitch.
How are those meatballs?
Great.
Yeah.
That's actually the first time that we went there, the people next to us got meatballs. And
you got a nose hit.
yeah, and so
And-
ever
and
since then,
eyeballs.
whenever the word Pitch and Omaha came together, the third word was meatball. I don't know.
I think that the recipes there are great. There's no veto vote. There's stuff for the smallest,
Yeah.
the middle, and the oldest. It's a phenomenon. I sold that 5 years ago. They've since opened another one in Scottsdale. It's not going to be a chain of 800 or 500. It's not supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be individual, put in a special spot, and be special. It's a very special place, and it's nobody goes there anymore because it's always too busy.
It is. It's super busy. We had to go. We went on Labor Day weekend, and it was. We said we're going to go early so that we could beat the crowd, and it was still busy.
Yeah, you can't beat the crowd.
Yeah, I mean we tried.
But it's usually happened. There's a good mojo. There's a good vibe.
There is. I highly recommend for any listeners that go to Omaha to go to Pitch.
It's and the name came from, we goofed around with it. Our coal that we get from Pennsylvania was pitch black, and so we said let's cut that back to pitch.
Yeah.
Let's have a one word, and that's what everybody calls it. It's the go-to spot. We got great people working there. They're trained. They train the people really well. And what's kind of neat is after you sell it, because that's I can create and I can scale, which is kind of a weird bird.
It is.
It's a very weird flying bird that can do both, but I enjoy then moving on. And we're doing something the first of the year. I'm doing something that I've been working on for a while. Not ready to announce. It'll be announced in a couple months. It's one of my most exciting ventures, and it's in my wheelhouse, and it's going to surprise. It's kind of an innovation, is what I'm doing.
Oh, very cool.
Of something current, but we're going to make it real relevant.
Awesome.
On how we deliver it. So
very cool. So when people ask me what being an entrepreneur is like, I describe it as high highs and low lows. Are you happy?
Very. We talked a little bit about 2 or 3 things that you define as happy. I had a 1.9 GPA in high school. I've had a 4.0 life. With its downs.
Yeah.
Okay, you just got to hold on.
Yep.
You're not going to fall off. You're not going to jump. You hold on.
What about all that traveling? I mean, how did that affect things?
Well,
I mean,
it does. It takes, it affects your personal life,
Yep.
Family. We all survived. Great relationships with my kids, wife.
And they spend a lot of time in Omaha.
Yeah, it was kind of fun this summer. Well, they come in every summer.
Yep.
They all come in different times, but my one daughter, who's the oldest, has my only granddaughter, Mia. It's Amber and Mia. My other daughter, Crystal, just got married recently. My other daughter, Ariel, hasn't got married yet. But Amber comes in. She was in 11 weeks. And what we did the most of is cook.
Cook.
We do recipes. We don't just at the last minute. We plan things. We get a recipe. We make an ingredient list.
Go to the store.
We forage.
Yep.
We don't compromise. We forage. And when we're all in the kitchen, either holidays or this summer, we all have a duty to do. We all get it. We're all doing our own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking and preparing and shopping and dicing. And it really, food, family, faith, friends, and food. Kind of the 4 F's. I got those in high school and a couple in college. Those are important to me now. They weren't then.
Sure.
I wanted to just, and it's kind of funny. I was identified. I do some work with Gallup.
Yeah.
And they have that entrepreneurial 10 testing, the assessment. Now they have the BP 10, builder profile.
Okay.
What can you build? And when I came home with a report card that had maybe not a grade or 2, parents go right to that. What about this bee and wood shop? Where's that rank? They're not even looking at that. They're going right down here. So try to focus on the things you're good at.
Yep.
Because you're not good at everything. Maximize your strengths.
Yeah, I've been advised to quadruple down on things that work.
That's exactly right. And don't get distracted. Like when I learned how to fly a Jet Ranger helicopter several years ago. Had one. I had it for a couple of years. I said, I think I can fly this.
It's pretty dangerous.
It's dangerous.
Helicopters.
It's like holding a basketball underwater with one finger. You got to.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, you got to do all this. And so my instructor said, doing a bunch of stuff, and then he cut the throttle and have to do a auto dive. You had to do the opposite of what you want to do. You want to pull back.
Yep.
You got to face to the ground to keep the inertia in the prop, or it stops, and then you do fall to the ground. So if you pull like this, it doesn't have the inertia. And he said, don't worry about what just happened. Get ready for what's going to happen next. Okay, that's what happened has happened. So I don't look in the rearview mirror in my car is this big.
Yep.
The windshield's this big. So try to focus on what's next, and that's what I'm doing right now, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't wait to see what's next for you.
It's going to be awful cool. It's the project is Innovation 2020, which it'll be introduced early next year, and I've had a lot of cooperation with a lot of people, and there's been a lot of ideations of it, and this is the best compact form that we can put together.
I love it. One last fun question before we go. Every picture I've seen of you, you're dressed in black. What's with the black?
Well, there's no big. Then you don't have to. There's no big decision. Now this is a brown.
I know.
Dark brown
I see that. I'm like, whoa, we're mixing it up.
My closet is lined up. Can you imagine 2 fingers in between each?
Yeah.
That's a fanatic approach.
I didn't know if it was like a Steve Jobs turtleneck sort of.
Well, he was like that too.
Yeah.
He had. It's a comfort. I don't want to worry about what's going to match and what's. I'm not a clothes guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mine are clean. I change often, but it may look the same. But tonight it won't be the same. I'll change again. But
right. I can't say the same.
there may be.
Sorry, this is what you get.
There may be a hint of black again, but it doesn't distract from my message.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the time. It's been a great conversation.
You know, this is real important, and coming down here and with Kimberly and with yourself and a few other folks that I've met, it's very similar to what's happening in Omaha. I mean, we are Midwestern.
Yes.
We tend to get things done because there's deadlines.
Yep.
Instead of mañana, we've got I start things. It's real important to show up. I didn't give you an excuse today why I wasn't going to be here. I didn't call you or text you or Kimberly a day or two ago and say, something came up. So I show up, and I encourage people to finish and figure out what happens in the middle, but start and finish. That's how you get to be successful.
It's great advice. Thank you so much, Willy.
My pleasure. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Hey everyone, if you liked what you saw, please hit the subscribe button. Also, you can find us on social media in the links below. Thank you.